So, Californians, how are we feeling about our gas prices?
Have a rude awakening when the industry leaves completely, and we're again not just paying $8 to $10 for gasoline, but we're waiting days in line for gasoline.
That's exactly the debate legislators here in Sacramento are having. You may have heard the news by now, but California's in state gasoline production just decreased by about 20% because the Phillips 66 refinery in Los Angeles closed down last year, and the Valero Benicia refinery is set to cease operations by April. So, what does that mean for your gas prices? Well, when in state production and thus supply of gasoline decreases, then you have to rely increasingly on foreign imports. That is what state officials are saying is happening here in California right now. Experts say there are more and more imports of both crude oil, which must first be refined at the remaining refineries, and gasoline, which is ready to use, are being imported from foreign countries. Now, experts and petroleum industry supporters are arguing that imports are both more expensive and less reliable. For example, if something happens to the ship that is importing the oil, then we don't have that supply available here in state. And as we know with supply and demand, when there is increase in demand but no supply, then the prices go up. Now, everyone acknowledges California has an ambitious clean energy goal to be zero emissions by 2045. And so the reality is we are increasingly transitioning away from the traditional fossil fuel industry. And so, with that, more and more refineries will cease operations, and that means more and more foreign imports of crude oil and gasoline will become our reality. So then the big debate is, how do we make that transition as smooth and as cheap as possible for Californians?
To me, it's clear that we are in this mid-stage transition. I know there are some suggestions that we're just at the very beginning and we're not really transitioning, but I don't think that's entirely true. I think the ball is actually rolling downhill.
That's Democratic State Senator Catherine Blakespear of Encinitas. She chairs the Senate Environmental Quality Committee, which actually talked about refinery closures last week. Now, I really wanted to get her reaction to the critiques people are having about imports and how they're expensive and less reliable, and also the argument that state regulations make it difficult for refineries to operate.
But a lot of these refineries, too, didn't they cite difficulties with various state regulations for the
I'm,
reasons that
I'm gonna have to go. I'm sorry. I'm at 2:10 and I have this calendar from 2 to 2:10.
got
Now, I want to make sure I'm fair and also be very transparent. This was a 10-minute back and forth interview on the topic. I was not made aware that it was a 10-minute time slot, and that was her reaction when I pressed her one last time.